Here lies the Western Heaven Realm, located in the Great Thousand Worlds. The Western Heaven Realm encompasses 10,000 continents, standing alongside the Eastern Heaven Realm, Southern Heaven Realm, Northern Heaven Realm, and Central Heaven Realm as one of the 5 major realms of the Great Thousand Worlds. Within the Western Heaven Realm, aside from the Western Heaven Palace, which occupies over 5,000 continents, the most renowned aspect is the 4 divine clans. Among these, the territory of the Luo God clan is the most expansive. The 3,000 continents fall under the jurisdiction of the Luo God clan, also known as the 3,000 Luo God continents. While the other 3 divine clans possess territories approaching 2,000 continents, the Luo God clans control over 100 more than the others has led to long-standing resentment over the millennia. The 3,000 Luo continents are coveted by the other clans, constantly drawing their attention. In the past, the Luo God clan was protected by a Heavenly Supreme and 2 Earth Supremes, but they have lost their former glory. The decline in strength has opened the door for the other clans' continuous incursions. On one of the boundary continents of the 3,000 Luo continents lies a vast mountain range within the grand city of the Western Dao continent, the 6 Mystical Mountain Range. Centered here, the territory of the 6 Mystical Sect spans a radius of 100,000 miles. As Xiao stepped into the heavenly pavilion, he couldn't help but admire the imposing presence of the 6 Mystical Sect, as magnificent as the sole ancients of the Doqi continent. However, as his gaze swept across the pavilion, an emblem on the upper wall instantly drew his attention. It was a flame totem adorned in 6 mysterious colors, exuding a fierce aura that signaled its formidable power. Ha ha, my friend Xiao. I must say our 6 mystical sect is not lavishly adorned. I hope you won't laugh at us, came a calm voice from behind, and Liu Beidao stepped into view. That's not the case. In my dimension, this is undoubtedly a sign of great heritage, Xiao replied as he gradually turned to Liu Beidao with a smile. Suddenly, he hesitated. I have something I'd like to inquire about. Oh? Please, go ahead, Liu Beidao said, curiosity piqued by Xiao sudden question. Are all these continents part of the Luo God clan's territory? Xiao asked. Of course. The Luo God clan, alongside the other 3 divine clans, is one of the 4 divine clans in the Western Heaven Realm. Although the other 3 clans have encroached upon the Luo God clan's territory during its decline over the years, the Luo God clan still possesses over 2,700 continents, which remain under their control, Liu Beidao explained. Upon hearing this, Xiao couldn't help but gasp. The Luo God clan actually governs such a vast expanse. When combined, the area of these continents must equal that of 1,000 lower dimensions, right? For a single clan to hold such extensive territory, it implies a level of strength that is truly terrifying. By the way, is there an elder named Luo Heavenly God in the Luo God clan? Xiao asked again. Liu Beidao's expression shifted upon hearing the name, as if he had encountered something deeply alarming. His face turned pale with shock. Luo Heavenly God? Did you just mention Luo Heavenly God? Liu Beidao stammered. The intensity of Liu Beidao's reaction completely caught Xiao off guard. What's wrong with Luo Heavenly God? My friend Xiao, you know that the 3,000 continents are the Luo God clan's territory, right? Do you know the name of their current strongest member, who is also the old patriarch? Liu Beidao asked, his expression serious. Luo Heavenly God is the patriarch of the Luo God clan? Xiao immediately deduced upon hearing Liu Beidao's words. Otherwise, Liu Beidao wouldn't react so astonished. How do you know about Luo Heavenly God? He has always been shrouded in mystery, appearing and disappearing without a trace, and ordinary people rarely see him. I only encountered one of his divine avatars during the Western Dao War years ago, Liu Beidao said, looking at Xiao in disbelief. How could someone newly arrived from a lower dimension know of such a figure? In response, Xiao recounted his experience with spiritual energy assimilation at Luali Mountain, including Luo Heavenly God's assistance during that process. Liu Beidao's astonishment deepened as he listened. You must have incredible luck. Liu Beidao regarded Xiao, barely able to believe his ears. In countless lower dimensions, each year thousands of breakthrough individuals emerge in the Great Thousand Worlds. While the Western Heaven Realm might not cover much of the Great Thousand Worlds, it still receives thousands of newcomers annually, with over 1,000 often arriving at the Luo God clan. Even individuals from advanced dimensions make an appearance now and then. Given the significant number of newcomers from lower dimensions, the upper echelons of the Luo God clan typically don't expend much effort to notice them, let alone someone like Luo Heavenly God, who is known to come and go unseen. Yet you, remarkably, have captured the attention of the old patriarch, who even assisted you in your spiritual energy assimilation. Xiao was quite astonished by Liu Beidao's words. He hadn't expected that the elderly man he encountered at Luoli Mountain that day, the so-called Luo Heavenly God, was actually such an extraordinary figure. His own luck, it seemed, was remarkable, though perhaps it also had something to do with Luoli Mountain itself. From what Luo Heavenly God had mentioned, Luoli Mountain appeared to be one of the Luo God clan's 8 clan-guarding mountains. It seemed that his proximity to Luoli Mountain had drawn Luo Heavenly God's attention. However, since the elder had helped him achieve spiritual energy assimilation, Xiao character dictated that he must find a way to repay this kindness in the future. By the way, Xiao suddenly said, as if something had occurred to him. What is it? Liu Beidao asked. I have a small, presumptuous request, Xiao said, bowing respectfully toward Liu Beidao. Let's hear it, Liu Beidao replied, showing interest. Earlier, Senior used a flame technique. I wonder if I might witness it again, Xiao said. He was referring to the battle he had witnessed above Western Dao City, where Liu Beidao had clashed with the master of the Heavenly Manor. During that fight, Liu Beidao had unleashed a 6-colored flame, a sight that had left Xiao deeply shocked. This flame was not inferior to his pure lotus demon flame or even the void-swallowing flame. Xiao suspected that if the flame were used to its full potential, it could threaten even 4-star or 5-star Do Dis. On the 100 million flames ranking, it might even rank within the top 300. Hearing Xiao request, Liu Beidao paused briefly before waving his hand. Follow me to the 6th mystical platform. With that, Liu Beidao's figure moved, soaring out of the heavenly pavilion and flying into the distant sky. Seeing this, Xiao quickly followed. The two flew through the air for about half a minute before a vast area nestled in the mountains came into view. In this expansive space lay a massive stone platform, nearly 10,000 feet wide. Liu Beidao and Xiao descended onto the enormous stone platform. As their figures touched down, the air around them suddenly buzzed with the sound of breaking wind. Xiao glanced upward, his gaze sweeping across the horizon. Figures streaked across the sky from afar, gathering in the void around the platform. These figures were mostly young men and women, and though youthful, they all watched Liu Beidao and Xiao with curious eyes. Don't mind them, Xiao. They're all disciples of my 6th mystical sect, Liu Beidao said with a faint smile as he glanced at the figures. Xiao nodded, but continued to observe. The number of disciples present was staggering, no less than 10,000. Xiao couldn't help but marvel at the scale of the sect. Even more impressive was their collective strength. Judging by the cultivation levels of this great thousand world, tens of thousands of these disciples had reached the heaven merging stage, and hundreds had even attained the heaven transformation stage. This was comparable to Do Xun powerhouses in his own continent of Do Qi. Among these disciples, more than a dozen had reached the heaven-reaching stage, equivalent to Do Shang in Xiao world. Such a concentration of young talents was unimaginable in the ancient clans of the Do Qi continent. He vividly recalled the immense effort the Soul and Gu clans had expended to nurture even a few Do Sheng-level youths, only to achieve minimal success. This was indeed the Great Thousand Worlds, a place where everything was far beyond the scale of the lower dimensions. Xiao resolved that, if given the opportunity, he would bring the talented individuals of the Do Qi continent to this world to cultivate. Here, the results would surely surpass anything possible in the constrained lower dimensions. The constraints of the lower dimensions, Xiao mused, were the greatest shackles on talent. But once someone reached the threshold of breaking through these limits, their path would clear. Xiao himself had managed to overcome these shackles. Suddenly, a figure shot through the distant sky, appearing on the vast stone platform after a few flickers. Liu Beidao smiled faintly at the newcomer, It was none other than his grandson, Lu Tianhuang. I recall you wanted to see something of mine back in Western Dao City? Lu Tianhuang said as he approached Xiao Yin with a smile. With a flick of his finger, a six-colored brilliance shot out, expanding rapidly in the air. I think the most valuable thing I have on me is this, Lu Tianhuang said with a smile, looking at Xiao Yin. Heh, what your friend Xiao Yin wants to see isn't just your flame seed, suddenly interrupted Liu Beidao, who had been standing by. Boom. With a single step, Liu Beidao's overwhelming spiritual power erupted, enveloping the area. The oppressive force of this terrifying spiritual energy, which reached the level of a 6th grade supreme, caused the flow of natural spiritual power within a 1,000-mile radius to slow down. The disciples of the 6th mystical sect, witnessing this, quickly retreated. Whoosh! A surging, 6-colored flame erupted from Liu Beidao's body, forming a towering pillar of fire that shot toward the heavens. The intense heat rippled through the space around it, covering the entire sky. The world was first tinted in red, then shifted to blue, followed by purple, yellow, milky white, and green in an ever-changing cascade. The 6-colored flames painted the heavens with a mesmerizing beauty, but anyone with a mind could tell that beneath this beauty lay the terrifying power to destroy the very world. This was the 6 mystical heavenly flames, the very thing that Xiao Yin found most fascinating about the 6 mystical sect. Who are you? Lindong asked, his expression now serious as he looked at Xiang. This is the Great Thousand Worlds, Xiang replied. While there are countless lower dimensions, divided into lower, intermediate, advanced, and super dimensions, the lower dimensions can only serve as shadows of the Great Thousand Worlds. Even if you come from a super dimension, in the Great Thousand Worlds, any lord of a continent could easily suppress you. Lindong did not respond immediately, listening intently to Xiang's words. The lower dimensions, the Great Thousand Worlds, and the outer worlds together form the balance of the boundless world. While the Great Thousand Worlds and the outer worlds are roughly equal in power, to everyone in the Great Thousand Worlds, the people of the outer worlds are seen as no different from savages. The only dimension truly beneath them is the lower dimensions, though I mean no offense to any lower dimension, Xiang continued. Thousands of years ago, this balance was shattered when the outer worlds launched an apocalyptic war against the Great Thousand Worlds. Forced into alliances, the continents of the Great Thousand Worlds fought back. The war lasted for over 10,000 years. Ultimately, the outer world's evil clans were driven out, and peace returned to the Great Thousand Worlds for a long time. Xiang paused, then continued. Until nearly 10,000 years ago, when the outer world's evil clans couldn't hold back any longer. But this time, they were smarter. Instead of attacking head-on, they devised a plan to start from the lower dimensions. The Great Thousand Worlds is a junction of countless lower dimensions. If they conquer those, they'll have a direct path into the Great Thousand Worlds. To control the lower dimensions, they need to take over the realms within them, or perhaps even eliminate the inhabitants. A branch of an outer world evil clan could use a single lower dimension as a base to invade the Great Thousand Worlds. Lindong was deeply shaken by Xiang's words, and beside him, Qing Tan and Ling Qingzhu wore expressions of shock. So that's why the alien demon emperor went to such lengths to obtain the dimension embryo, Lindong murmured, taking a deep breath. The outer world's evil clans are on par with the Great Thousand Worlds in power, while the lower dimensions are little more than shadows of the Great Thousand Worlds. When facing an invasion by these evil clans, unless you're from a high level or super dimension, the rest are doomed to be crushed instantly. After millennia of attacks, millions of lower dimensions have already been conquered, Xiang said. Wait a minute, Lindong interrupted, his brow furrowed. If the outer world's evil clans are conquering the lower dimensions to attack the Great Thousand Worlds again, how is it that no one in the Great Thousand Worlds noticed this? Something as obvious as this, and you're the only one who saw it. Lindong suddenly stopped, his eyes flashing with realization. A faint voice escaped his lips. The ancestral talisman master. He's the reinforcement from the Great Thousand Worlds, isn't he? Lindong said with a solemn tone. He recalled that the alien demon clan had slaughtered the people of the lower dimensions to obtain the dimension embryo. From what the alien demon emperor had said, Lin Dong remembered that, 10,000 years ago, the ancestral talisman master had come to his dimension with the same goal, to obtain the dimension embryo. Not bad. Although the discovery was somewhat slow, the actions of the extraterritorial evil clan were eventually noticed by some powerful factions in the Great Thousand Worlds. Once these factions learned of the extraterritorial evil clan's movements, a call for action was immediately spread across the entire Great Thousand Worlds. However, the most terrifying thing happened at this time. After millions of years of peace, most of the powerhouses in the Great Thousand Worlds had completely forgotten the terrifying threat that the extraterritorial evil clan once brought. They believed that they could rest easy, thinking that the actions of the extraterritorial evil clan were nothing more than the idle moves of barbarians, mere defeated pawns that couldn't possibly pose a threat to the Great Thousand Worlds. At this point, Xiang also smiled with some mockery. Heh, in the end, the truly powerful forces that rushed to support the lower realms didn't even account for a fraction of the Great Thousand Worlds. Because the scale was so small, these factions had no choice but to make one decision: to send only one or a few strong warriors to each dimension for reinforcement. Since the extraterritorial evil clan intended to use the dimension embryos to open a passage to invade the Great Thousand Worlds, these factions' strong warriors could also find these dimension embryos and take control of a dimension before the evil clan. By controlling one more dimension, they could block one of the extraterritorial evil clan's invasion paths. Perhaps your ancestral talisman master came from one of the Great Thousand Worlds factions. But since you became the lord of the dimension, the ancestral talisman master must have failed. Upon hearing this, Lin Dong nodded. Indeed, the ancestral talisman master had failed during the crucial step of controlling the dimension embryo, and at the same time, the alien demon clan had launched a massive invasion. During the great battle between heaven and earth, the ancestral talisman master burned his reincarnation to seal the alien demon emperor outside the dimension, buying enough time for the dimension to give birth to someone capable of controlling it. 10,000 years later, when the alien demon emperor broke free of the seal, Lin Dong's ascension to ancestor and control of the dimension embryo turned the situation around. The ancestral talisman master could be considered the greatest benefactor of Lin Dong's dimension. However, just the meager reinforcement from the Great Thousand Worlds to the lower realms probably won't be enough to stop the invasion of the extraterritorial evil clan, right? Lin Dong suddenly asked in a questioning tone. Yes, the reinforcements from the Great Thousand Worlds are far from sufficient, and the strength of the lower realms is too weak. But even though the lower realm warriors are weak, some of them have outstanding talents. Some of the geniuses from the lower realms have talent that's even comparable to the top talents of the Great Thousand Worlds. Their strength is low because of the restrictions of the dimension. But when a person from the lower realms breaks through the dimensional shackles and enters the Great Thousand Worlds, their strength, previously restricted by the dimension, will skyrocket. These individuals, after breaking through the dimensional shackles, will train fiercely in the Great Thousand Worlds, rapidly increasing their strength and gaining power that even the extraterritorial evil clan greatly fears. To resist the extraterritorial evil clan, countless geniuses who have broken the dimensional shackles gradually formed an alliance, strengthening their power while fighting against the evil clans that attempted to invade the lower realms. Today, after 10,000 years, there are 7 major alliances formed by the lower realm powerhouses. Which 7? Lin Dong asked in a puzzled tone. The first to form was the Heavenly Palace, which contains many who broke through the dimensional shackles. Their ranks are determined by their divine positions, with the Divine King being the ruler. Originally, the Heavenly Palace suffered repeated defeats against the extraterritorial evil clan, but later, a young man from a lower realm entered the divine realm. In just 100 years, he revitalized the Heavenly Palace, making it a force that the extraterritorial evil clan greatly feared. This young man's name is Tang Tian, Xiang said. Tang Tian? Hearing this unfamiliar name, Lin Dong couldn't help but frown slightly. The Heavenly Palace is just the leader. After that, countless other alliances were formed. In addition to the Heavenly Palace, The other 6 strongest alliances are the Western Heaven Palace, Sacred Alliance, Sword Domain, Guardian Realm, Land of 10,000 Graves, and finally, the Great Thousand Alliance, to which I belong, Xiang said calmly. You're from a lower realm too? Upon hearing Xiang's words, Lin Dong was shocked. He hadn't expected that this young man was also from a lower realm like himself. No, the young master was not born in a lower realm. It was his father, our sect master, who broke through the dimensional shackles and came to the Great Thousand Worlds. The young master was born here afterward, said a middle-aged man standing behind Xiang with a calm smile. I suppose you've guessed why we've come to find you? Xiang looked at Lin Dong and his companions with a faint smile. The Great Thousand Alliance, huh? I'm somewhat interested. After all, the actions of these extraterritorial evil clan in the lower realms have really disgusted me. Lin Dong murmured softly, then raised an eyebrow. Ask away, Xiang said. Those who perished in the lower dimension but left behind a trace of consciousness that drifted into the Great Thousand Worlds. Does your Great Thousand Alliance have any way to locate them? Lin Dong asked. Behind him, Ling Qingzhu and Qing Tian also understood that Lin Dong's question was aimed at finding Ying Huan, who had lost all trace after the cycle of reincarnation. The Great Thousand Worlds were far too vast, and if it were just the 3 of them searching, they might not have any leads even after 1,000 years, let alone a direction to follow. Is it a loved one? Xiang glanced at Lin Dong, his eyes narrowing slightly, as if he had sensed something from Lin Dong's expression. Lin Dong met his gaze and said nothing. This is indeed a difficult matter, Xiang replied, but I can ask my father to contact the supreme leader of the Great Thousand Alliance. With their extraordinary abilities, they might be able to come up with a solution. Upon hearing this, Lin Dong let out a helpless sigh. He hadn't expected the Great Thousand Alliance to help him finding Huan directly, but now there seemed to be a glimmer of hope. Even the slightest hope was enough for Lin Dong. I'll temporarily join the Great Thousand Alliance. Lead the way, Lin Dong said calmly. At his words, Xiang and the others couldn't hide their excitement. To have someone from a super dimension join the Great Thousand Alliance, even if only temporarily, was a significant event. Everyone in the Great Thousand Alliance knew that someone from a super dimension, given their talent, would likely reach terrifying levels in the future, even surpassing ordinary supreme powerhouses who would only bow to such a person. Then please, come and visit the Great Thousand Alliance, Xiang said with a smile. He then flicked his fingers toward the void ahead, and a teleportation array was immediately set up. This place is over 10 billion miles away from the Great Thousand Alliance. Ordinary flight would take months to reach, Xiang explained, stepping into the array first. The journey would normally take nearly half a year by regular means, but with the teleportation array, they could reach it much faster. However, even with the teleportation array, it will still take nearly half a month to reach the Great Thousand Alliance, Xiang added. Lin Dong didn't mind. He had been searching for Ying Huan for far longer than a few days and wasn't concerned about the extra half month. Buzz. As Lin Dong and the others stepped into the teleportation array, radiant light surged, and they slowly merged into the void, disappearing. The array soon dissipated into light particles. The world around them grew quiet, with only a few scattered figures passing by. They looked at the aftermath of the tremendous battle that had recently taken place. The shattered ice-covered land submerged in boiling seawater, with vast black thunderclouds stretching across the sky. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. Far over 100 billion miles away, in the Western Heaven Realm, countless massive continents stood in this boundless domain. The 3,000 continents belonged to the Luo God clan, but on one of the peripheral continents, a chaotic atmosphere filled the air. This was the border between the Luo God clan and the Blood God clan, Western Dao continent. On Western Dao continent, within the endless mountain range, towering buildings were scattered across the land. This place seemed to be the territory of a powerful faction. Buzz. In the sky above the mountain range, space suddenly distorted, spinning and forming a spatial portal. 3 figures slowly emerged from it. Xiao looked at the majestic mountains of the 6 mystical sect territory. The scale of this place was no less impressive than that of any ancient clan from the Doqi continent. Hee, welcome, Xiao, to our sixth mystical sect, Liu Bei Dao said with a faint smile. He moved and flew toward a massive pavilion at the heart of the mountains below. Make yourself at home, Lu Tianhuang added with a smile and a cupped fist. Xiao returned a slight smile, moving swiftly to follow Liu Bei Dao, with Lu Tianhuang close behind. The sixth mystical sect was Xiao first stop in the Great Thousand Worlds. Grandfather, this? Lu Tianhuang looked at Liu Bei Dao as he summoned the six mystical heavenly flames, somewhat astonished. Lu Tianhuang himself had a seed of the six mystical heavenly flames within him, and now he understood. 10 years ago, I was part of a great battle between the Luo God clan and the Blood God clan. 6 colored flames engulfed the heavens and earth like a vast ocean. Below them, Liu Bei Dao looked at Xiao with a calm smile and said, "At that time, the Blood God clan launched their largest invasion of the Luo God clan in 10 years. They sent a massive number of powerful warriors, dividing them into 8 directions to invade the Luo God clan. In just a month, nearly 100 continents on the outskirts of the Luo God clan fell. This triggered the wrath of one person, the leader of the Luo God clan, Luo Tianwang, the son of the retired Luo Tianshan. Faced with the Blood God clan's large-scale invasion, Luo Tianwang issued a decree in the Luo God Grand Domain, calling upon nearly half of the supreme powerhouses in the domain with a promise of heavy retribution. He then organized them into 8 squads, each tasked with countering the Blood God clan's invasion. I was one of those who responded to the call and formed a team with dozens of others, becoming the vice commander of that squad. Before we launched our counterattack, the previous leader of the Luo God clan, Luo Tianshan, appeared before us. Although it was just a supreme clone, the power it radiated was beyond our ability to resist. Before we left, Luo Tianshan bestowed upon our squad's commander a flame, the 6th mystical heavenly flame, ranked 137th on the 100 million flames ranking. This was clear evidence that the Luo God clan had spared no expense for this counterattack, and I believe the other squads received similar powerful gifts. We rushed to the border of the Luo God clan, the Western Dao continent, which became our battlefield. However, the scale of the battle was far beyond what we had imagined. We had nearly 30 supreme powerhouses on our side, but the enemy's forces were just as strong. In the final battle, nearly 20 of our people perished, and the rest were severely injured. At the end, we managed to eliminate the enemy, but the casualties were immense. It was said that no previous battle on the Western Dao continent had seen so many supreme powerhouses fall. Aside from the fallen, almost everyone else on our side was gravely wounded. I was fortunate to suffer the least damage, but the most tragic part was our commander. In a fight with an 8th-grade supreme from the enemy, he sustained fatal injuries. Aware that he would not survive, he entrusted me with the 6th mystical heavenly flame given by Luo Tianshan before he fell. After the war ended, our team disbanded, but I chose to stay. I made the decision to remain in the Western Dao continent and later founded the 6th mystical sect, named after the 6th mystical heavenly flame. I hoped that one day I could train more disciples and safeguard the border of the Luo God clan. Luo Tianshan said with his hands clasped behind his back, looking at Xiao with a sigh. Luo Tianshan's words filled Xiao with respect for this old man, who had dedicated himself so fully to the Luo God clan. Such a person was undoubtedly deserving of deep admiration. Liu Bei Dao, I have a request. I wonder if it's possible? Xiao cupped his hands and asked. Haha, I've already seen through your intentions, Liu Bei Dao said with a hearty laugh, looking at Xiao. You want the 6th mystical heavenly flame, don't you? Xiao was momentarily stunned when he heard Liu Bei Dao's words. Since the first time he saw Liu Bei Dao use the 6th mystical heavenly flame, he had indeed thought about it, but he never expected that Liu Bei Dao would see through his thoughts so easily. Xiao was silent, which implicitly confirmed Liu Bei Dao's words. He really did want the flame, but if the 6th mystical sect refused to give it to him, he would not force them. He would accept it as fate. However, what Liu Bei Dao said next shook Xiao heart. Sure, Liu Bei Dao said, noticing Xiao surprised expression. A sly grin appeared on his face as he continued, but I'd like to discuss a condition. A condition? Xiao was overjoyed to hear Liu Beidao's agreement, but he also thought that since Liu Beidao was such a warm-hearted elder, the condition wouldn't be too difficult. Liu Beidao raised his hand, and the towering sea of fire behind him transformed into a massive fire dragon. Although I, in my younger years, joined forces with many supreme powerhouses to repel the Blood God clan's invasion army, later on, though the Blood God clan did not launch such a large-scale invasion, their incursions continued unabated. This is the main reason why, for the past 10 years, the Western Dao continent has been in such turmoil. In the northwest of the continent, a new force under the Blood God clan's banner has been stationed, and the leader of that force is a middle-aged man named Huang Yunpa, who possesses the power of a 7th-grade supreme. Coupled with his tactics, he is likely one of the best, even at the 7th-grade supreme level, Liu Beidao said, looking at Xiao. I can hand over the 6 mystical heavenly flames to you, but you must help me defeat Huang Yunpa. Liu Beidao's final words reverberated through the air. Upon hearing this, Xiao merely smiled slightly, as though Liu Beidao's words were exactly what he had expected. Stepping forward, Xiao released his spiritual energy without hesitation. His power, no weaker than Liu Beidao's terrifying energy, caused the surrounding space to tremble. Countless gazes from all directions were filled with shock. They hadn't expected this young man, who appeared to be about the same age as them, to possess such overwhelming strength. Where did this guy come from? Boom! Flames erupted from Xiao body in torrents, 22 heavenly flames transforming into 22 fiery chains. These chains spiraled towards the massive fire dragon in the sky, wrapping around it. Liu Beidao, however, was not surprised. With a casual smile, he severed his connection with the 6 mystical heavenly flames, as he heard Xiao equally calm laughter. Agreed. A month from now, I will bring Huang Yunpa's head here. Boom! The massive fire dragon in the sky trembled. The earth-shattering spiritual energy rippled through the air. With a roar, the dragon began to shrink, and in a few moments, it had transformed into a mini fire dragon no larger than 10 feet long. The 22 heavenly flames surrounded it, preventing it from making any rash movements. As the enormous fire dragon shrank, the searing heat that had filled the air began to dissipate, and the once oppressive atmosphere faded. The bright sky returned, and the countless figures around them breathed a collective sigh of relief. From now on, the 6 mystical heavenly flames are yours, Liu Beidao said, smiling at Xiao. Thank you for your generosity, Xiao responded, cupping his hands in gratitude. He was thrilled that Liu Beidao had entrusted him with the 6 mystical heavenly flames. Xiao, my friend, are you planning to stay with the 6 mystical sect for a few days? Or do you wish to set off now? Liu Beidao asked. How far is the battlefield from here? Xiao inquired. About several 100,000 miles. With your speed, you should be able to reach it in less than a day. Then let's depart now. Please lead the way, senior, Xiao said, cupping his hands again. You really can't sit still, can you? Liu Beidao chuckled when he heard Xiao intention to go straight to the battlefield in the Western Dao continent. He waved his hand and, with a flicker of movement, soared into the distant sky. A casual laugh echoed in the air. Let's go. Take care, Xiao, Liu Tianhuang said, patting Xiao shoulder with a smile. Xiao smiled back at Liu Tianhuang, nodded, and with a leap, turned into a streak of light, following Liu Beidao into the distance. They entered an ancient, desolate world, where the sky was gray and heavy clouds loomed overhead. The ground, scattered with rocks and cliffs, emitted a sense of bleakness that permeated the entire region. Shwa, shwa, shwa. The sound of tearing air rang out, and soon, 10 or more shadowy figures streaked across the sky. They were a group of mysterious individuals dressed in black, moving with extreme secrecy. Damn it! Where did that woman hide? One of the black-clad men spat, his eyes scanning the surrounding cliffs with a look of fury. Boom! Just as his words fell, the earth trembled violently. At the same time, a dazzling burst of 9-colored light erupted from a distant location. The thick, murky spiritual energy that had enveloped the area began to stir violently under the influence of this radiant glow. The The sudden appearance of the nine-colored light caught the attention of the group. TSK, you can't hide it anymore, can you? A sinister grin appeared on the middle-aged man's face. With a swift movement, his figure turned into a streak of light, piercing through the void as he shot toward the distant nine-colored radiance. Behind him, a dozen black-clad figures followed closely. From within a massive abyss spanning tens of thousands of feet, dazzling nine-colored light surged outward, painting the surrounding heavens and earth in vivid brilliance. Boom! A deafening, earth-shaking roar erupted from the depths of the abyss. The resulting tremor rippled across a 1,000-mile radius. Moments later, a massive nine-colored beam shot into the sky, shattering the abyss and leaving behind a colossal crater spanning several thousand feet. Whoosh! As countless boulders rained down, a graceful figure brimming with regal presence soared out from the crater and landed on a mountain peak tens of thousands of feet away. The woman blinked her enchanting eyes, gazing into the distance where streaks of light were speeding toward her at a breathtaking pace. "What a nuisance!" the coldly elegant woman muttered as she cast a glance toward the approaching figures. Two streaks of light tore through the sky at terrifying speed, distorting the space in their wake. One of them was a black-clad youth, and the other, an elderly man in gray robes. Their sharp gazes locked onto the barren expanse ahead, a desolate region stretching endlessly. "We've entered the northwestern part of the Western Dao continent. For the next 300,000 miles, this entire area is considered a battlefield," Liu Bei Dao remarked, his eyes fixed on the wasteland ahead. "Has the Blood God clan occupied everything here?" Xiao asked, gazing forward. "Not entirely," Liu Bei Dao replied. "After I retired from the battlefield 10 years ago, the Luo God clan sent new powerhouses to guard this area. Although they couldn't completely drive out the Blood God clan, they've effectively contained those maniacs' further invasions. I visited the Luo God clan's camp here in the Western Dao continent a few times, so I'm somewhat acquainted with them. I'll take you to the Luo God Great Camp." Xiao nodded. Charging into the Blood God clan's stronghold alone wasn't a feasible option. Having a base to regroup at was definitely advantageous. About 10 minutes later, as they continued their flight, an endless crimson mountain range appeared on the horizon. Liu Bei Dao's face lit up with relief as he pointed toward it. "That's the Red Domain Mountain Range, the location of the Luo God Great Camp," Liu Bei Dao said. Xiao gaze followed. He could sense a dense aura of fire energy emanating from the mountain range. This fire energy wasn't man-made but naturally formed by the heavens and earth, making the area an ideal training ground for someone like Xiao. Boom! As Xiao and Liu Bei Dao approached within a 1,000-mile radius of the Red Domain Mountain Range, a thunderous explosion echoed across the heavens. A commanding shout followed, shaking the skies. "Who dares trespass into the Luo God Great Camp?" The mighty voice stopped Xiao and Liu Bei Dao in their tracks. They looked toward the mountain range, where a crimson figure was streaking through the sky at breakneck speed, heading straight for them. Boom! A surge of dark crimson energy, like a tidal wave of fire, erupted from the approaching figure. Two massive crimson wings of fire, each stretching over 1,000 feet, unfurled behind the figure. He was a brawny man clad in pitch-black robes, exuding a powerful aura at the level of a 5th-grade supreme. Xiao eyes twitched as he noticed the intense heat radiating from the fiery wings, no less powerful than the 6 mystical heavenly flames. This flame was undoubtedly among the top 150 on the 100 million flames ranking. "Heh, Gu Luo, it's been a while," Liu Bei Dao said with a chuckle, addressing the black-clad man. "So it's you, Senior Bei Dao. What brings you to the Red Domain today?" The black-clad man, Gu Luo, visibly relaxed upon recognizing Liu Bei Dao. However, his gaze soon shifted to Xiao, standing beside him. "And who might this be?" Gu Luo asked, his tone tinged with curiosity. "Heh, go inform Luo Jutian that I've brought him someone extraordinary," Liu Bei Dao replied with a calm smile. "Him?" Gu Luoshan's eyes swept over Xiao once more. Sensing Xiao aura, his expression subtly shifted. "A 6th grade supreme?" Gu Luoshan pondered briefly. The strength of a 6th grade supreme was sufficient to hold a position as a vice commander in the Luo God Great Camp, and he himself was a vice commander there. Could this be the extraordinary individual Liu Bei Dao was referring to? Looking at this young man's appearance, he indeed seemed exceptionally youthful. This friend, Xiao Yan, is not as simple as you think, Liu Bei Dao remarked with a smile. Come with me. The first commander is waiting in the camp. Upon sensing Xiao Yan's 6th grade supreme level power, Gu Luoshan was visibly surprised. If Liu Bei Dao intended for this young man to join the Luo God Great Camp, their overall strength would see a significant boost, enabling them to better resist the invading forces of the Blood God clan. Gu Luoshan motioned for Xiao Yan and Liu Bei Dao to follow him, then spread the fiery red wings on his back. With a flash of his figure, he transformed into a streak of red light, heading toward the distant Red Domain mountain range. In his view, Liu Bei Dao truly seemed to have brought someone extraordinary. Xiao Yan exchanged a glance with Liu Bei Dao before the two followed suit, their figures swiftly taking off. The vast mountain range stretched endlessly, painted in hues of crimson. The atmosphere was saturated with an intense presence of fiery energy. In the distance, a massive red energy barrier, spanning hundreds of thousands of feet, encapsulated a giant city built within the mountain range. Armored figures patrolled swiftly across the skies, their vigilance so strict that not even a fly could pass through unnoticed. Swish, swish, swish. Several sharp noises pierced the air, drawing the patrol team's alert gazes toward the distant horizon. However, they did not panic, as they soon recognized the leader of the three approaching figures, none other than their vice commander, Gu Luoshan. Meanwhile, within the core of the camp, atop a 1,000-foot-tall peak, an elderly figure walked unhurriedly. His gaze turned toward the horizon, where the three figures were approaching rapidly, and his eyes gleamed with recognition. Heh, has Liu Bei Dao come to play chess with me? The old man chuckled softly, watching the incoming trio. Swish, swish, swish. Under Gu Luoshan's lead, the three figures passed through the red energy barrier unimpeded. Gu Luoshan then turned midair and flew toward a towering mountain ahead. Xiao Yan's sharp eyes scanned the peak, where an elderly figure stood with his hands behind his back, emanating an aura at the 7th grade supreme level. It was immediately clear to Xiao Yan that this must be Luo Jutian, the first commander of the Luo God Great Camp. Heh, Liu Bei Dao. It's been nearly a year since you last visited the camp. I thought you'd forgotten about this old man, Luo Jutian remarked with a hearty laugh as Gu Luoshan landed on the mountain peak, followed by Liu Bei Dao. Old man, you've been working hard all these years, fighting off those brutes from the Blood God clan, Liu Bei Dao replied with a smile. Heh, the Luo God clan is our homeland. If we don't defend it, who else will? Luo Jutian said calmly, a faint smile on his face. But I take it your visit today has a purpose. Come, introduce me to someone, he added, gesturing toward the black-robed youth following behind Liu Bei Dao. HM? A 6th grade supreme? Luo Jutian's attention, which had been primarily focused on Liu Bei Dao, finally shifted fully to Xiao Yan. As his eyes scrutinized Xiao Yan, he was inwardly startled. The young man, who looked to be no older than 30, had already reached the level of a 6th grade supreme. When Luo Jutian sensed the unique fluctuations in Xiao Yan's spiritual energy, his expression changed again. He broke through the dimensional barrier from a lower dimension? Junior Xiao Yan greets Senior. Xiao Yan stepped forward and cupped his hands in greeting. Senior? Nonsense. In the great 1,000 worlds, strength reigns supreme. You and I are equals, Luo Jutian declared. In this world, just as in many lower dimensions, power was the ultimate measure of respect. With Xiao Yan's immense talent and strength at such a young age, it was clear he would surpass Luo Jutian in a matter of years. Luo Jutian saw no reason to consider himself superior beyond age. HM? By the way, Liu Bei Dao, didn't you mention you were here about the Blood God clan's invasion? Is this young man the outsider? Hehe, not bad. I think, next, Xiao Yan will be of great help to the Luo God Great Camp, Liu Bei Dao said with a smile. Haha, so you're planning to have Xiao Yan join the Great Camp, right? That's good. We couldn't ask for more. Luo Jutian laughed heartily as he clapped Xiao Yan on the shoulder. His decision to allow Xiao Yin into the Luo God Great Camp wasn't merely due to his terrifying strength. After all, someone powerful but untrustworthy could be a liability. But since Luo Jutian trusted the person Liu Beidao introduced, it was like gaining an extra layer of strength for the camp. And with Xiao Yan's potential, especially considering his identity as a breaker of the lower dimension shackles, he might even reach higher levels in the future. The potential of someone like him was truly immense. However, just as Luo Jutian thought Xiao Yan was about to join the Luo God Great Camp, Xiao Yan's lips moved slightly, and a sentence that caused Luo Jutian to pause for a moment rang out. It seems Senior Luo Jutian has misunderstood. I didn't come here to join the Luo God Great Camp today. What's going on? Luo Jutian asked, sounding slightly displeased with Xiao Yan's response. Even Liu Beidao looked at him in confusion. Hadn't Xiao Yan promised to bring down the leader of the Blood God clan? Why was he now refusing to join the Luo God Great Camp? Had he changed his mind? Senior Liu Beidao need not worry, Xiao Yan said, noticing the puzzled look on Liu Beidao's face. Since I've made a promise, I'll keep it. Then he turned to Luo Jutian and continued, Senior Luo Jutian, I don't intend to refuse your invitation. However, I have 2 wives who are lost in this world. I simply want to fulfill the promise I made to Senior Liu Beidao first. After that, I won't stay long in the Great Camp. Oh? I've been hearing you mention a promise to Liu Beidao. I'm curious now, what exactly did you promise him? Luo Jutian asked, looking at Xiao Yan. My friend Xiao Yan promised to bring down Huang Yunpa, the leader of the Blood God Great Camp, in exchange for the 6 mystical heavenly flames I once inherited. Liu Beidao chuckled. Bring down Huang Yunpa? You plan to do that with your 6th grade supreme strength? Luo Jutian exclaimed, looking at Xiao Yan in surprise. He was very familiar with the strength of Huang Yunpa, the Blood God clan's first commander, who stood at the peak of 7th grade supreme, a level slightly above his own. And now this young man claimed he would take down the leader? Heh, old Luo, you're making the same mistake again, underestimating the younger generation. Do you remember that time when a 2nd grade supreme from the lower dimension defeated a 3rd grade supreme with a single strike? Liu Beidao smiled and asked. That's different. A 2nd grade supreme against a 3rd grade supreme is nothing compared to the gap between 6th grade and 7th grade supreme. And Huang Yunpa might be on the verge of breaking through to the 8th grade supreme. If that happens, I might need to ask the Luo God clan for reinforcements, Luo Jutian said, frowning. How about this, Senior Luo Jutian? Why don't you make a bet with Xiao Yan? Xiao Yan suddenly suggested after some thought. A bet? I'm curious, what kind of bet? Luo Jutian's interest was piqued, and even Liu Beidao and Gu Luo Shan, who had been silent until now, turned their attention to Xiao Yan, eager to hear what he had in mind. But what Xiao Yan said next made everyone present feel a shock in their hearts. If I don't use any power from the Great Thousand Worlds, that is, no spiritual energy from this world, and I still take on Senior Luo Jutian's full-strength attack, then I believe it will be time for me to discuss a final showdown with the Blood God Great Camp. Xiao Yan's voice was like a bomb that exploded in everyone's hearts. What? Say that again? Luo Jutian, clearly stunned, asked, as if he hadn't quite heard Xiao Yan correctly.